Hey everybody, Happy New Year and welcome back. The time between last year and this week seems somewhat like half a year has passed. How, I don't know. Blame it on the weather, but getting going has been a juggle. How about for you so far? So what better way to start the year off than with a nice and slow motivational video to absorb? We all have dreams, goals, things we want to accomplish. But sometimes that little spark to get us going just seems lost in the shuffle of everyday life. We'll talk about the habits of successful people and the things they do every day to stay motivated and productive. And over these next few videos, we will break down the walls that keep your motivation trapped. We'll expose those nasty little habits that lead to burnout and feeling overwhelmed. And I'll give you real strategies to ditch them for good. Because guess what? You don't have to feel 100% ready to go after what you want. Starting straight away with the habits of successful people because they understand the power of routine. They have a morning routine that gets their mind and body primed for the day. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's a workout, or even just 10 minutes of quiet time with a cup of coffee. The point is, they create space for themselves before the chaos of the day begins. And it's not just the morning. They structure their entire day, setting aside time for focused work, for breaks, for creative thinking. They prioritize their tasks and stick to their schedule, even when things get tough. Because let's face it, life throws curveballs. But when you have a solid routine, you're better equipped to handle whatever comes your way. As the incredible author and entrepreneur Jim Rohn once said, motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. The first biggest habits of successful people? They set clear goals. And I don't mean vague ideas like I want to be happier. They get specific. They write their goals down. They break them down into smaller, actionable steps, and they track their progress. Why is this so important? Because it gives you something concrete to work towards. When you know exactly what you want to achieve, it's easier to stay motivated, even when things get tough. And when you see yourself making progress, no matter how small, it fuels your fire to keep going. Next, successful people also surround themselves with the right people. They seek out mentors, they build a supportive network, and they distance themselves from negativity and toxic relationships because they know that the people you surround yourself with have a huge impact on your mindset and your motivation. Remember, you become who you spend your time with. So choose your circle wisely. Another thing that sets successful people apart: they have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. They're constantly reading, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, anything to expand their minds and learn new skills. And it's not just about acquiring information. They're also committed to personal growth. They're not afraid to face their weaknesses, to step outside of their comfort zones, and to constantly challenge themselves to be better. Because here's the thing: growth doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you're willing to push yourself, to learn from your mistakes, and to never stop evolving. As the great Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And that includes changing your own world. Now, we've talked about the good habits, the ones that fuel success. But let's get real for a second. There are some sneaky little habits that can totally sabotage your motivation and leave you feeling completely overwhelmed. And one of the biggest culprits is this: trying to do it all. We live in a culture that glorifies busyness. We think we have to say yes to everything, be available 24/7, and constantly be on the go. But that's a recipe for disaster. When you spread yourself too thin, you end up feeling exhausted, resentful, and totally uninspired. So, how do you break free from this cycle? It starts with setting boundaries. Learn to say no to things that don't align with your goals or values. Permit yourself to take breaks, to recharge, to prioritize your own well-being. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself first, and everything else will fall into place. Another habit that can seriously derail your motivation is comparison. In the age of social media, it's easy to get caught up in the highlight reels of other people's lives. We see their perfectly curated photos, their impressive accomplishments, and we start to feel inadequate. When you're constantly comparing yourself to others, You're essentially saying that your own journey isn't good enough, and that's just not true. Everyone is on their path. What works for one person might not work for another, and that's okay. Focus on your goals, celebrate your wins, and give yourself the grace to move at your own pace. As Theodore Roosevelt said, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't let it steal yours. How many times have you said to yourself, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll wait until I have more time, money, energy, or motivation? We all do it. We procrastinate, make excuses, and wait for the perfect time to go after what we want. Know this. There's no such thing as the perfect time. There will always be something standing in your way, a busy schedule, a lack of resources, a dose of self-doubt. But if you wait for all the stars to align, you'll be waiting forever. Stop overthinking it. Stop waiting for permission. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. We've all been sold this idea that success hinges on bursts of motivation, but that's a dangerous myth. What happens when that fire fizzles out? Waiting for motivation is like waiting for a unicorn to deliver a pizza. What matters more is discipline. It's about building habits and showing up for yourself. Let's look at the real-life story of someone not because they were always motivated, but because they understood the power of showing up. Take Sarah, a single mom working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Sarah dreamed of starting her own business, but between raising her kids and juggling her work schedule, finding the motivation to chase that dream felt impossible. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, and the last thing she wanted to do after a 12-hour shift was work on a business plan. But Sarah had a secret weapon: discipline. She committed to spending just 30 minutes every morning working on her business, even if it meant sacrificing sleep. Some days she stared at a blank screen, completely uninspired. Other days she made tiny bits of progress. The point is, she showed up. Day after day, week after week, she chipped away at her goal, even when motivation was nowhere to be found. And guess what? It paid off. Today, Sarah runs a thriving online store, all because she chose discipline over fleeting feelings of motivation. Now, I'm not saying that motivation is useless. Of course, there will be times when you feel that surge of energy and inspiration, and those moments are precious. But what I am saying is this: don't wait for motivation to hit you like a bolt of lightning, because it might not. Instead, focus on building the habits and routines that will carry you through the days when motivation is missing in action. And here's the cool part. Sometimes the simple act of showing up, of taking action, can spark the motivation you've been waiting for. It's like that old saying, appetite comes with eating. You start working on that project, even though you feel uninspired, and suddenly you get hit with a wave of creativity. You drag yourself to the gym, feeling sluggish and tired, and halfway through your workout, you get a burst of energy. Action often precedes motivation, so don't wait for the feeling to show up. Show up for yourself, and the feeling might just surprise you. We've talked about habits, we've talked about avoiding burnout, and we've even gotten real about those times when motivation takes a back seat to discipline. But what about those days when you're just dragging? When your get up and go got up and went? You need a jump start, a jolt of energy for your mind. That's where the power of your mind comes in. You heard me right. Your mind isn't just for thinking. It's a powerful tool for change, and that includes changing your energy levels. One of the most effective ways to do this is through visualization. Visualization isn't about escaping reality. It's about creating a clear picture in your mind of what you want to achieve, how you want to feel, and the steps you need to take to get there. When you visualize, you're essentially giving your brain a preview of success, which can be incredibly motivating. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine yourself feeling energized, focused, and ready to tackle the day. See yourself accomplishing your goals, feeling that sense of achievement, and let that feeling fuel your actions. Trust me, this works. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I need an energy boost right now. Well, you know how important your breath is, right? It's literally the life force within you. But did you know that you can actually use specific breathing techniques to increase your energy levels? It's true, and one of my favorites is called box breathing. Here's how it works. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes if you'd like, and inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Hold your breath for another count of 4. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. Finally, hold your breath again for a count of 4. Repeat this cycle for a few minutes. This simple technique helps to calm your nervous system, increase oxygen flow, and bring you back to a state of balance. You'll be amazed at how much more energized you feel after just a few rounds of box breathing. Okay, one more quick tip for boosting your energy levels. Get moving. Even a little bit of movement can make a world of difference. Inactivity breeds fatigue, while movement generates energy. So get up, stretch, take a brisk walk, put on some music, and dance around your living room. It doesn't have to be a grueling workout. Even a few minutes of gentle movement can help to increase blood flow, release endorphins, and boost your mood. Remember, motion creates emotion. So far, we've covered a lot of ground on this journey to unlock your motivation. We've talked about habits, conquering overwhelm, the power of discipline, and even how to boost your energy. But here's the thing. Sometimes the biggest obstacle isn't knowing what to do, it's actually getting ourselves to do it. Pause and think about that for a sec. Have you ever found yourself stuck, knowing you need to make a change but feeling paralyzed by fear, doubt, or just plain old inertia? Many of us struggle with this, and it often boils down to one of two things: avoidance or a lack of confidence. Let's talk about avoidance first. Avoidance is a sneaky one. It whispers in your ear, telling you it's better to stay safe in your comfort zone, even if that means staying stuck. It convinces you that it's too risky to try, too hard to change, and that failure is inevitable. But heck, avoidance is a liar. The more you avoid the things that scare you, the more power you give them. You start to believe the lies your fear is feeding you, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Some good news is that you have the power to break free from avoidance. Now, let's talk about the confidence gap. This is that nagging voice inside your head that says, "Who are you to try this? You're not good enough, smart enough, or experienced enough." Sound familiar? We all have that inner critic, but guess what? It's a liar too. That lack of confidence, that fear of not measuring up, it's holding you back from achieving your full potential. It keeps you playing small, settling for less than you deserve, and living a life that's less vibrant than the one you're capable of creating. But actually, you are capable of amazing things. You have talents, skills, and a unique perspective that the world needs. The key is to silence that inner critic and start believing in yourself. So how do you do that? Start by challenging any negative thoughts. When your inner critic pipes up with a "you can't do this," counter it with a "watch me." Remember, your thoughts become your reality, so choose to focus on empowering beliefs instead. Listen, I know it's not easy to overcome avoidance and build unshakable confidence. It takes time, effort, and a whole lot of self-compassion. And the first step is always the hardest. Once you take that first step, even if it's a small one, something amazing happens. You start to build momentum. You prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought possible. And that's when the magic really starts to happen. So, what's holding you back? What's that one thing you've been avoiding, that dream you've been too scared to chase? Identify it, acknowledge the fear, and then take action despite it. Remember, you are stronger than you think, more capable than you realize, and braver than you believe. Now go out there and make it happen. As we wrap up our journey to unlock your motivation, remember this. True motivation starts with self-discipline and focus. It's about making a conscious choice to show up for yourself, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when you'd rather stay curled up on the couch. Don't wait for motivation to magically strike. It rarely works that way. Take the first step today, even if you don't feel ready, because action creates motivation, and the more you act, the more motivated you'll become. Thank you for watching, and here's to a motivated and successful year ahead.